Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
The act of making or enacting laws. Law enacted by a legislative body. The act of making or enacting laws. The act of making or enacting laws. Law enacted by a legislative body. The act of governing, exercising authority. Regulations for the governing of state prisons. Responsible for making and enforcing rules and laws. Governing bodies. The persons, or committees or departments etc., who make up a body for the purpose of administering something. The governance of an association is responsible to its members. The act of governing, exercising authority. The persons, or committees or departments etc., who make up a body for the purpose of administering something. He claims that the present administration is corrupt. The act of meting out justice according to the law. The act of governing, exercising authority. The tenure of a president. Things were quiet during the Eisenhower administration. A method of tending to or managing the affairs of some group of people, especially the group's business affairs. The act of administering medication. The act of governing, exercising authority. The act of governing, exercising authority. He had considerable experience of government. The organization that is the governing authority of a political unit. The government reduced taxes. The study of government of states and other political units. Government, the system or form by which a community or other political unit is governed. Tyrannical government. The legal code of ancient Rome, codified under Justinian, the basis for many modern systems of civil law. The body of laws established by a state or nation for its own regulation. The passing of a law by a legislative body. A bodily reaction of changing from one place or stage to another. The passage of air from the lungs. The act of passing from one state or place to the next. A journey usually by ship. The outward passage took 10 days. A short section of a musical composition. The motion of one object relative to another. A path or channel or duct through or along which something may pass. The nasal passages. The act of passing something to another person. A section of text, particularly a section of medium length. A way through or along which someone or something may pass. Legislation that makes something illegal. The criminalization of marijuana. Legislation that makes something illegal. The passing of a law by a legislative body. A legal document codifying the result of deliberations of a committee or society or legislative body. Acting the part of a character on stage, dramatically representing the character by speech and action and gesture. Legislation that makes something legal that was formerly illegal. Legislation that makes something legal that was formerly illegal. A law passed by the United States Congress that created the Occupational Safety and Health Administration to prevent employees from being injured or contracting diseases in the course of their employment. A law passed by the United States Congress that created the Occupational Safety and Health Administration to prevent employees from being injured or contracting diseases in the course of their employment. Legislation that gives appropriate officials the authority to implement or enforce the law. A record of the whole body of legislation in a given jurisdiction. The collection of rules imposed by authority. The great problem for jurisprudence to allow freedom while enforcing order. The branch of philosophy concerned with the law and the principles that lead courts to make the decisions they do. The learned profession that is mastered by graduate study in a law school and that is responsible for the judicial system. He studied law at Yale. A rule or body of rules of conduct inherent in human nature and essential to or binding upon human society. The collection of rules imposed by authority. Civilization presupposes respect for the law. The force of policemen and officers. The law came looking for him. The branch of philosophy concerned with the law and the principles that lead courts to make the decisions they do. A generalization that describes recurring facts or events in nature. The laws of thermodynamics. Legal document setting forth rules governing a particular kind of activity. There is a law against kidnapping. A legislator who gives long speeches in an effort to delay or obstruct legislation that he, or she, opposes. Law. A tactic for delaying or obstructing legislation by making long speeches. Obstruct deliberately by delaying. Consider again, a bill that had been voted upon before, with a view to altering it. Consider again. Give new consideration to, usually with a view to changing. Won't you reconsider your decision? The quality of being just or fair. The United States federal department responsible for enforcing federal laws, including the enforcement of all civil rights legislation, created in 1870. A public official authorized to decide questions brought before a court of justice. Judgment involved in the determination of rights and the assignment of rewards and punishments. Of legislation, not amended. The United States federal department responsible for enforcing federal laws, including the enforcement of all civil rights legislation, created in 1870. The United States federal department responsible for enforcing federal laws, including the enforcement of all civil rights legislation, created in 1870. The United States federal department responsible for enforcing federal laws, including the enforcement of all civil rights legislation, created in 1870.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.